Welcome, everybody, to Conversations in Coruscant. Ed and I, Edward Raleigh, and I, Alex Chelberg, are about to do a good discussion here about this new big leak we just got of Rogue One, the visual dictionary. We got a bunch of information about Rogue One, and it's great. And we're just going to kind of see what it all relates to and maybe try to think as big picture as we can. Because, Vader's in this, and that's going to be big. And there's a really big bad guy, and I think that's big. And yeah, all right. So please start off.
Okay. First, I wanted to say, at first I thought these were like when you see the sample pages from a new comic or a new book that's coming out. At first, I thought that's what these were, but after looking at them for a while and deciphering what they actually say, because it was hard to read some of the small type in it. I'm pretty sure I've heard Pablo Hidalgo talk about when he's writing a book, they'll send him like low res pictures. And then he would look at them and then figure out, go from there and figure out what's going to be what. So I think these are very early images of what the book's going to look like. And then he'll fill in a lot of the information later.
Well, but this is not, I'll tell you why I know it's not Pablo Hidalgo's book. Because Pablo just said, people who want to remain spoiler-free, blah, 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 and that's not the book I'm writing.
I'm not necessarily saying it's him. I'm just saying that's basically what that type of thing is.
Yeah, no, there's two of them that are going to be similar, which is great. It's the Star Wars Rogue One Ultimate Visual Guide. That's what he's doing. And it's just because I think that people know there's all these leaks coming out that they also did that. Or did they just rename that other book? I don't think so, because he does acknowledge that book in another tweet also. So,
Yeah, I'm sure there's a bunch of books coming out similar.
Yeah.
But okay, first I'd like to go over the page that has all the whole Rebel team standing behind the Rebel Alliance logo with some ships flying over top. It says Heroes of the Rebel Alliance. And then it has a paragraph at the top, which is it's basically a placeholder paragraph, and I'm not going to read that one until we get to the next one, because the same thing is on the next page, and it actually goes better with that one. So I'm going to start with
is it word for word the exact same thing?
A lot of it, yeah.
So is it? I mean, is that going to be the stuff they have there?
No, that's why I say I think this is a very early. Like, those are placeholders for the person writing it.
Necessarily mean anything.
Some of it, no, but there are some things that are specific to the characters. But like at the top, it does say not final. So I think these are sent to whoever's writing them, and then they're going to go see how much information they need to fill in these spaces. I think that's basically what it is. But it does have, like I said, for Jyn, for instance, it has the picture of Felicity Jones. And then it says, beside her picture, it says, as a highly skilled soldier and warrior, Jyn, along with her cohorts in the rogue band of resistance fighters, is prepared to steal the Death Star plans and bring new hope to the galaxy. United in this daring mission, Jyn and the other heroes will have to enter the battle against the evil forces of the Empire. So we all know who Jyn is. Then we go, the next one, which says Cassian Andor, which is Diego Luna, which is interesting because a few weeks ago we heard his name was Cassian Willix.
Yeah, so it's like they changed one thing. What was it? It was February or January that someone said it was Lyra Erzo.
Right.
And I was trying to see if that was an anagram for like something with Ray or like, and then now it's Jyn Erso. So I'm trying to figure out something. I mean, there's nothing there, I don't think. But
like I said, this is not final at the top. So I'm wondering if either the Willix is still good, or maybe the Willix was an earlier one. We still don't know, but we do know at least his name is Cassian.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, Cassian.
Okay, and then for him, and this is when I first realized that a lot of this is placeholder, but it starts off as a rebel officer, Captain Cassian Andor. So we know he's a captain. along with his cohorts in the rogue band of resistance fighters, is prepared to steal the Death Star plans. And then from there, it's the same word for word thing as the Jyn Erso one. So that's when I realized it's a lot of it's placeholder. But
yeah.
So we did learn a little bit. We learned that he's a captain. His name's Cassian for sure now. Then we move to the next one, which is, it goes by the name of Baze, Baze, and that is, I'm not sure how you pronounce it, Jian Wen, the actor.
Yeah, Jian Wen, why not?
Yeah, well, I've heard him described as a weapons expert.
Okay.
But the actual description says, as a freelance assassin, Baze, along with his cohorts, and so all we really learn from this is as a freelance assassin, and then it goes into the same placeholder. So a lot of this is waiting to be filled in, but at least we're learning small bits.
Yeah, it's, man, all these characters, they make quite the team, it seems. This is like the most badass team we've ever seen in Star Wars. Because of course the episode 1, 2, and 3 didn't have like it wasn't that same 4, 5, 6. You have this group that's like on this adventure, and now it looks like we're gonna be getting that. We're gonna be getting a brand new group, an even cooler group. I think they're trying to top. Personally, I think they're not trying to be similar, but trying to top the Guardians of the Galaxy, because I think Guardians of the Galaxy had a cooler ensemble than the 4. I mean 4, 5, 6. Of course, I like Star Wars more, but like Guardians of the Galaxy tried to get that whole ensemble type feel and like their interrelationships.
Staying with the family of characters that you grow to love, and this one does look really interesting with the I don't know how to call it, I'll just say droid for now, and then the 2 smaller aliens that we'll learn about in a minute. But it looks very interesting.
Yeah, now are they like that? It looks somewhere between a really really fat Ewok or
a really short Wookiee.
Yeah, a Wookiee, dwarf Wookiee.
Yeah,
but it's not. It's a new species, and what's it described as in the guide as a courageous warrior or something like that?
Let me skip ahead and find him. Well, there's 2. Are we talking about the short Wookiee one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Who plays that? No, we have no idea. This is just the first time I've ever seen it.
But his name is Bistan.
Okay.
Bistan. It just says a fierce warrior along with his cohorts, and then, but I wrote down to me, he looks to be about 4 foot tall, almost like a small Wookiee, but his face reminds me of, you ever seen the 80s horror movie, The Ghoulies?
Yeah,
if you take that and fill his hair with fur, with brown fur, that's kind of what his face would look like.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. Yeah.
But that's all the information we have on him. It's some new species that, like you said, looks like an Ewok or a short Wookiee, basically.
The names of, we have, Jyn Erso, we know that because we see.
I'm not hearing you. I think you cut out there.
Oh, can you hear me now right now?
Yeah, I can.
Hey. Like we know all of the names that people playing the people because we see that there's those people, but who's playing those 2 characters? Who's voicing them?
I couldn't find out. The only actors that are in roles that I saw that I don't know are Jonathan Aris and Forrest Whitaker, but we know who Forrest Whitaker is playing. We just don't know
we've
his
seen
name.
that. Yeah, and notice how he's not described in this thing at all either.
Right. So I'm thinking maybe he's one of them, or maybe he's both of them, or maybe they're complete CGI. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Well, that brings up an important thing is we don't see Mads Mikkelsen's character or Forrest Whitaker's. Is that intentional, or is that because they were just on the next page of this book and we don't have that?
Yeah, I think it's on one of the other pages that we just didn't get. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I already heard I heard a video and someone was like, this is so mysterious because Mads Mikkelsen is not in the thing, but he's in the movie. What does it mean? And I was like, it means it's on a different page.
Pretty small. I think that's pretty much what
we just got like a few pages and we got real lucky about it. And that's
right.
So who else do we got?
All right, the next one is K250, and this to me is one of the most interesting things because we got a whole nother page on him coming up. But K250 is Alan Tudyk's CGI robot or droid. He's a Galactic Empire security droid. But and his short sentence says, as an enforcer droid, K250 along with his cohorts. But to me, he looks like EV-99 from Jabba's palace, mixed with a battle droid. And on the back, it has the same box that the stormtroopers have with the OII or 011. And I never knew what that was, but it has that same thing. So basically, I guess they're used sort of like stormtroopers at one time or another. We just never seen them before.
Yeah, I think that's why we can confirm that this is Imperial. He was Imperial, and then he was switched over. Yes. And someone, I mean, that's no confirmation, but said that it was Jyn Erso's father, who Matt Mikkelsen confirmed he's playing. That took him from being an Imperial droid and rewired him to being a good guy.
I can definitely see that.
And Alan Tudyk is amazing. I've been a huge Firefly fan, and he was the pilot, and just a really funny guy. And he was the pirate. He was a pilot, and he's also the pirate in Dodgeball.
Yes, yeah.
And other stuff too. He's really good. He's always funny. So
yeah, I like him a lot.
So we have a fluffy little guy. I think I think he's going to have somewhat similar personality to the sassy fox in Guardians of the Galaxy, and I think people will see that, and that it seems too cliche, but I feel like they might. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm all I'm going to say is I trust Gareth Edwards. I think he's not going to be too far off with it. Even if he does do a little bit of a comic relief, I don't think it's going to be too far off from Star Wars.
And how many days away is Celebration? Because
for Celebration Europe,
did I say Celebration? What is it that's coming up that Kathleen Kennedy? No, it's a Comic Con or a something. They're like doing a big like speech or gosh, you know what I'm talking about? I just can't think of the name.
I don't know. I know Celebration Europe's coming up next month, I think.
Yeah, no, maybe that's what it is. I forgot. But anyways, Kathleen Kennedy and Gareth Edwards are gonna. It's a panel, and they're.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that is at Celebration next month.
Okay. Sorry, I brain fart. So he is gonna tell us something because we got a lot of information from the panel last year on The Force Awakens with Kennedy and Abrams and the cast.
They always save something good for Celebration, so I'm sure we'll learn some. Yeah, maybe even a new trailer or a new teaser. I mean.
Yeah, well, did they do that last time? Did we get a new trailer or a new teaser?
Celebration, we got a teaser, surprisingly, a teaser for Rogue One, which we weren't expecting at all. That was just the one that showed.
So, are we about to get a Episode 8 trailer or teaser?
I don't know. Maybe we'll
That'd be crazy
and an actual trailer for Rogue One. That would be very nice.
Yeah. Oh man. But this is very exciting. I'm very excited because I really like Alan Tudyk. I really like that they're doing all this stuff. It seems like this is going to be an amazing movie. It's, I can you can just genuinely feel it's going to have those great, 4, 5, 6 group ensemble mission type thing. But it's going to be gritty. It's going to be, they intentionally, I don't know if it was Gareth Edwards or who it was. That was a creator that said it's going to be like Saving Private Ryan in Star Wars.
It's going to be more of a war movie that's with Star Wars feel to it. And I went to go see Civil War about a week ago, and before the movie in 3D, I got to see Rogue One trailer in 3D,
in the theater. I haven't seen that.
I was not expecting it at all, and it was just. I don't know. I almost wanted to cry. It was so awesome to see it like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. I people just when they first announced Rogue One, I was like, "Holy shit! This is important. This is really, really important." And I think it's my first impression when we saw that Rogue One's coming out was this. They don't just make a movie about no one and just stealing the plans that's important. But these people are making a story, and they have to pack in as much important plot points as they can. So that's why I came to the, not the conclusion, but, just like there's a little something in my brain that said, I think this might be about Rey's parenthood or parentage, because we have a female who very well looks like Rey and has the capacity to be the mother of Rey. And it's just, we don't know, but she seems so much like she could be a Mara Jade parallel, because there's always a bit of truth in Legends, and they, in Rebels and everything, they take elements from Legends, and people clearly want a Mara. People that knew the story, they loved Mara Jade, and that was great. And I don't know, Luke had to, if he didn't do that, that's fine. That would be the biggest diversion from Legends, though, because, you get Ben, who's not Ben Skywalker, he's Ben Solo, and it's not the same as in Legends, but it's a very similar path. And yes, things are different for sure, but having Luke not have a child, to me, that it just seems so inherently far from what I envisioned, what would be happening.
Yeah.
And is that something? How do you feel about that?
Honestly, I mean, that's always a possibility, but my prediction is that everyone in this cast will be dead by the end of the movie by Vader's hand. I think.
Well, but why in the trailer? Why would they give us? What would you do when they capture you? They're trying to set up that she's going to get captured.
I don't know. I think they were trying to scare, like they show us with her in the Imperial uniform, which I actually think she's just sneaking onto the Death Star.
Yeah,
I'm wondering if they were trying to scare us, or
yeah, they know that they were trying to. Now they're alluding to it falsely, because that's what trailers do, or there's really some truth to that. That, like, the big thing here is that Mads Mikkelsen is her dad, and her dad. Which this is not confirmed, but Mads did confirm that he's the father. The whole thing is he is this engineer that making StarWars.net said originally, or tried to release it, that Mads Mikkelsen is the guy who designed the Death Star.
Right,
or
similar to the person that designed the atoms.
He had something to do with it. He was the creator, or part of one of the creators, like the
right.
And I think that would really tie into why she would also struggle with it. I mean, she's not trying to rebel for the sake of rebelling. Or no, she is trying to rebel for the sake of rebelling. She doesn't have a cause yet, and undoing the evils of her father will be where she could get that's I don't know, it seems so poetic, kind of, that she would be fixing his mistakes, and that's why he helped her and tried to. Or I don't know, because she's been alone since she was young, they say in the trailer. So she had her parents, and where are they now? We're going to get flashbacks. That's what it was.
We're supposed to be the first of the actual side movies. It's hard to say how they're going to go with it, because I mean, once we get one, we'll see if they're going to tie into the saga movies. But I personally feel like these ones are going to be like completely on their own, and the saga movies, you know what I mean? There might be a few things that connect, but I honestly think they're going to be mostly their own standalone movies.
Well, but every standalone movie we're getting is about a character.
That's true.
So Han, he is part of the original trilogy, and Bubba, he's part of the original trilogy. So this is just a character who we never saw in the original trilogy, because, like Mara Jade, she could have been seduced by the dark side. Mara Jade was she was trained by Palpatine and was his the hand of the Emperor. Yeah. And this won't be the same, but I think it will be similar. I think that's what we're going to get, is that by the end, she, just like Forrest Whitaker warns, whatever. And then the Emperor orders her, his last thing to kill Luke. And then, or it could go a different way, but having it so that you look at Luke, you look at her, Felicity Jones, and you can't tell me that they could not be Rey's mom or
She does
dad.
have some similar looks to her. I'll definitely give you that. I'm just not sure what to think on that one. I mean, it's always a possibility.
Why would it not be interesting who her parents are? That would mean a lot. I mean, we have to think about like the big metaphysical things here with like the Force and divine or whatever because Anakin didn't have a father. Is this the same? So does it matter? Is it like Buddha? Not Buddha. Is it like the Dalai Lama where he dies and you have to find him in another body when he is born as a baby, but they're not related? Is that what it is?
It's hard to say at this point because I've tried to come up with theories similar to that, and I get a lot of crap for it sometimes. But it's hard to say which direction they're going to go because I don't.
Equally, now I'm gonna shut us down a little bit because on Twitter, Pablo straight up was like, "Hey guys, you gotta not be so obsessive."
Right.
Like I think we're, sometimes when you get
looking too deep into something.
Yeah, looking too deep into it is one thing, and but seeing things that aren't there,
yeah,
that's another.
Oh, I've definitely been guilty of that too.
Yeah, and it's just I don't know when if I'm trying to think of a theory of like what makes the most sense from a business point of view, having Rogue One this be the backstory, this great backstory of Rey's mom could mean more money for Disney. I think the most amount will be because for book reasons, that's a whole new story, and there would be so much to connect of things that happen behind the scenes because there's nothing in the 456 that says that Luke that they would have met. It's it's poetic that she would steal these plans that he would use to destroy the Death Star, and then when the war is over or whatever, they fall in love. Or she doesn't have to go dark too. It could just be that they're at war. They don't have time for love, and just like Shara Bay and Cass Dameron, right? Made Poe Dameron. They got to it the second that the Endor battle was over. They got right to business. Right. So let's not rule it out. Yeah. I think seeing all this stuff for Rogue One is great. Let's get. Do you want to do a little more into that?
You mean where I left off?
Yeah.
Okay. What was the last one I did? K250, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. So we got the characters. What's the big thing about? Do we get any new insights for the bad guy?
Yeah. If you want me to skip over to the next page, I'll find it here. Okay. All right. The villains. Okay. Now this one has a big paragraph. Mm-hmm. This is part of it is the same paragraph that was on the other page, which I said was the placeholder, but it starts out with the white gleam of a stormtrooper's uniform, Darth Vader's semi-samurai helmet and mask, Leia's bikini shimmering gold above the Sarlacc pit. The Star Wars universe is jam-packed with memorable characters, all decked out in wondrous wardrobes. So when it came time to find a costume designer for The Force Awakens, which, obviously this part, just this first part was placeholder.
Yeah, none of that has anything.
Right. The film, but I think they're going to, I think it's still the same. I'll get to it in a second. The film's producer knew that they need someone who could create long-lasting looks with both drew from the past and inform the future of the franchise. To meet the challenge, they turned to veteran costume designer Michael Kaplan. And I think a lot of these designs came from art from The Force Awakens, which I do know that the TIE Striker and the U-Wing, which we'll get to in a minute, they were at least very close to, if not the same as some early concepts for The Force Awakens.
So what does this mean? Oh, this is big. So does that mean that we have a battle where the Rebel Alliance loses? Because we see a crashed X-Wing in the village part of that, in the town or the settlement outpost. And then on the same planet, we just realized that that's a U-wing. We didn't know that with that crashed ship, which that clearly is Belderon. Oh, sorry, it's not Belder. Yeah, I can't assume that. It's clearly that planet that that we're seeing the walkers on.
Right.
So there's Imperial walkers, ATACTs.
ATACTs.
Why would they have to put ACT into it? That's a terrible. I hate. I remember the ACT was the worst test ever. They just trying to remind me of terrible things.
I don't know why. I guess because it's slightly different. I think it's taller than the other one. I have a little bit of information on that, but if you want me to finish this part about the villains, Director Krennic is the guy's name, the one we've been seeing in white with the cape.
Yes.
Now before I read what it has, his insignia is the High Admiral insignia, which I checked in this book with the Imperial Handbook, which is technically a Legends book, but it does have canon material in it too. But it does say High Admiral. It's an elite rank held only by those whom Emperor Palpatine has personally promoted. So, but his actual so far his title is Director, as far as we have, and that's Ben Mendelsohn's character.
Director,
yes.
Director of the.
All it says is, as the Director of the Imperial Military, Krennic is prepared to protect and preserve the Galactic Empire. His means of defense will be needed more than ever when a rogue band of resistance fighters comes together for a daring mission that will see them attempt to steal the plans for the Death Star, the Empire's ultimate weapon. The moon-sized space station has the ability to destroy an entire planet, making it the most imposing technological terror ever conceived, and a serious threat to the galaxy as a whole. It goes on to say, the Galactic Empire ruled for years with fear, intimidation, and tyranny, with a mighty military force, including the likes of elite soldiers known as stormtroopers, advanced spy tech like probe droids, and the planet-destroying Death Star. Emperor Palpatine's evil regime seemed unstoppable and permanent. This was reinforced by Darth Vader, who led the Empire's eradication of the Jedi Order. The Sith Lord remained in service of the Emperor, the evil Darth Sidious, for decades, enforcing his master's will and seeking to crush the fledgling Rebel Alliance, but some brave rebels dared to strike back.
Wow.
And then, that was for, did you want to talk more about Director
Krennic? Director Krennic, it sounds to me like he's the director of the entire military, of everything.
I believe he is the main antagonist of this movie. I believe Darth Vader is just like an end. I think he's there for show at the end.
Then what's going on with the mystic stuff with the guy in the back to tank and who's in that black cape? Is that going to be? That can't be the Emperor.
I don't think so.
I think we're going to get another. Is that Mads Mikkelsen? And he has this cultish religion, if he's the one that made like the Kyber crystal magic aspect, like is he like this grand wizard that could create, that laser beam that destroyed the planets, right?
Is that kind of like the guy from JPL, NASA? That you know what I'm talking about?
No,
no, into the OTO. Yeah, I'd have to look back into that. Get it off the top of my head. I know.
Like, doesn't he have like magic? That magic like wizardy vibe. Is that Mads Mikkelsen over like not someone in a Bacta tank, but like that's like
some type of power source?
Yeah. That's kind of what I would get, and that would mean that Rey comes from, and like that would be that. Magical that would have to be force sensitivity if that's gonna be the route, which is this might be going a little tin foil hat like whatever.
Well, I think the actual the weapon did have something to do with kyber crystals, right? For the Death Star weapon.
Yes. They're powered by kyber crystals. That's what the Death Stars are powered by. But how? Well, this could be the story, and that's you're getting a lot about the Death Star. You're getting how they stole the Death Star plans, but also like how it actually works. Because Tarkin is the guy who oversaw its construction, but he isn't like the scientist. And this is exactly what Making Star Wars said from the beginning when they released that first bit, inferring that he could be like that character, and that it's if that's a force sensitivity, then the family of Jin, why is it that Jin can, we don't know what she's capable of. I'm not saying she's like ever going to be a Jedi, although Mara Jade did end up becoming a Jedi. But I'm just saying that I don't think she's going to do anything with the lightsabers, but she could be force inclined and just not be aware of it, or whatever, that kind of thing. Because there is no Jedi Order and there's no religion of the Force in most cases. There are on select planets in certain systems, but
we do know of in Aftermath they talk about the acolytes of the Beyond that were collecting the Darth Vader saber. Maybe this is one of those type of people. And we also learn about in the Force Awakens. We learned about well, not quite in the Force Awakens, but what is his name? The guy at the beginning, played by Max von Sydow.
Yes, the Church of the Force.
Yes, the Church of the Force. That's what I was getting at.
Yeah. So we got the Church of the Force. What about in Bloodline? There's a planet, where there's a planet visited where they really hold dear the religion of the Force. And they're saying how the galaxy is like, yeah, there is no such thing as the Force, except for those that are highly religious. So that's why having the scientist guy be so force. I mean, you have to be force sensitive if that's what he's doing, because kyber crystals are a very force sensitive type thing. So and then that makes this not as much. It makes it such an amazing kind of fantasy, mystical, almost like Game of Thrones-esque, like building this evil weapon out of magic. That's great. That's but at the same time, it's science. He's an engineer, is what they said.
And there was also another. If you've been reading the Poe Dameron comics, the people that worship the egg that they call their savior, so they are throwing in a lot of more spiritual things in. So that is a good possibility that there could be a spiritual aspect to it.
And when people say that, like, oh well, they said it's going to be like Saving Private Ryan, so it's. They said there's going to be the Force. This is a magical Force universe, and it would kind of be, it seems that at this point, like we have with the Force Awakens, like we get in the books after Return of the Jedi, and even the whole period, anything after the Republic, it's like there aren't people that are using the Force. Or like it's a big practice, or it's a thing that is
more
done,
of a myth at this point.
But
it's a lot of people.
Still creeps its way into everything.
Right.
So now we're getting all these people that are just military people, just doing their military thing, and not educated on the Force, not on the Rebel side, I don't think.
Well, don't the Rebels still say, "May the Force be with you"? At times?
Yeah. Well, they do, but they don't. It's just like saying like good luck. It's like saying good luck.
Right.
And I think they acknowledge it's, but they're not using it. And we're told that we're not going to have any Jedi in this movie. We're not going to have any Sith.
Right. Yeah, he did say that.
But there's going to be mystical.
Darth Vader. But...
I think they're. Well, yeah. Now they lied. They lied. But I think that he's going to be like a cherry on top towards the end. It's not going to be about him.
Right. That's what I was saying about Ben Mendelsohn's character being the actual antagonist for this movie, the actual big bad guy, and Vader's just going to be like the cleanup crew at the end. That's why I said I think everyone's going to be dead by the end of this.
Could he be the wizard type guy? Because I think, Mads Mikkelsen is going to be Jin's dad. So is it just there's going to be flashbacks? And
I did hear that somewhere. That is a possibility. Maybe he's just. I heard a long time ago there was artwork of of her looking through a fence, maybe at her family or something. I can't remember exactly what it was, but
Yeah.
it was like a flashback. It seemed so. Maybe that's what that maybe that's his role in this. I do
And
whatever
he
it
could be
is.
a
I think
no.
it's
He
going to
could
be
have been a no
small.
one. He could have no relation to the Empire. He could just be a flashback of her seeing the Empire kill her dad, and he
Mhm.
he could have been anyone. He could have been a farmer. Who knows? Kind of looks like
Yeah.
a farmer, right? I don't know. I mean, I loved seeing him play. There was like a silent, not silent movie, but like wordless movie, basically of Vikings, and Mads Mikkelsen um, played this. He's like mute Viking that like he tears people's throats out, but he just has like this empty face about everything he does. And but he's still he seems like he's a good person. There was times where he saved a boy, and he didn't like rape a boy like everyone else. Like everyone was
Oh
just
my god.
raping everyone there. It was
Jeez.
a world of it was a time of like
Rape.
just just no order, and he still seemed to be chivalrous, even though he was
Okay.
like a cult killer. But I don't know. He was a great actor, and I want to see him more than just be um in a 2 seconds of a flashback and be killed.
Yeah, I don't know that that we're gonna get that though. It doesn't seem like he's got too big of a role.
Yeah,
But
just
yeah, it's
like
possible.
Max von Sydow. He is an amazing actor that I thought was gonna be like, oh, this is gonna be a big
Right.
role, but no, he just has
Yeah,
like
very small.
very small. So they're taking great, amazing actors and giving them smaller roles. But Ben Mendelsohn, who's Australian, he's amazing, and he I don't know he like really could he just take over all of the line all the light there and sorry not the light all the, whatever the attention. Do you
Yeah.
just need one big bad and then Vader on cherry on top, or are
Yeah.
they going to have more?
I think it's going to be Ben Mendelsohn, and then I think the actual Death Troopers, the Black Troopers, I think
Mm-hmm.
they're actually his troops, as opposed to a lot of people have been saying they're Vader's troops. I think they're
Well,
actually going to be his troops, and then Vader, like I said, is going to be coming in at the end just for like basically like the big finale type thing. You know what I mean?
yeah. So they're Death Troopers
That's
and
what it says in here is Death Troopers.
Death Troopers, but there's legend stories. I think they're legends. I could be wrong. I don't know what. Maybe this is. I don't know what this is from, but I've heard someone say that Shadow Troopers.
Yeah, Shadow Troopers was I think that was used what was the name of the book? Um I can't remember
Battle
exactly, but also
Twilight.
I think it
Battlefront
was
Twilight.
what's that?
Battlefront Twilight. Was that it?
I'm not sure. But I do know I'm pretty sure they used Shadow Trooper in Battlefront,
Yeah, in the game. Yeah.
the game Battlefront.
Mm-hmm. No, I don't remember what it was, but I think like they're tall. Yeah. That's what Making Star Wars is saying is that these Death Troopers are tall. They're like 6 something. They're like
6 foot, yes.
about the same size as Vader. So that's why they're saying that they don't think that he'll be
But
around Vader.
these Death Troopers have a different mass than the Shadow Troopers. That's how I know they're different.
Yeah.
Their faces are more angular, and they have like green lights on their face.
So I think you're right. They're not going to be Vader's troops because you want Vader to see like Vader won't look that badass if everyone's the same height as him, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
exactly.
what someone had said, and that means Ben Mendelsohn, he comes down. We see him down on the battlefront. He's this big guy that's the director of the entire military, but he's down there. Is he fighting, do you think?
I don't know, but there is one of those pictures. If you look, it shows him standing in front of several of those Death Troopers. So that's what made me think they're his. But I don't think for the most part he'll be on the
Well, he
battlefield.
has a blaster in his hand.
He does.
I mean,
and I think at
Tarkin would
one
never
point,
have a blaster in his
right.
hand.
At one point, I think he does get into it. Maybe he's like fed up with these people or something and gets into it. But I think for the most part, he's going to be, just calling the shots.
Well, I mean, okay, does he have to be this director of the galactic? Like, is he going to be? How much control is he going to have? He could just be the director of the Imperial forces on. But you know what? The troops that we see in the Death Star are the ones we see behind him, which would be the same ones that we see there. So I think that I think the Death Star is going to be over this planet, and there's going to be a battle on the planet, and he's going to have to bring troops down, right? And
well, we also see him on the Death Star. So my first impression was he was going to be like overseer of the Death Star's construction.
Yeah, the director of the construction, right?
Right.
Okay. But that's what Tarkin's doing, right?
But that's what confuses me. Because
okay, this is what I'll say here. Go into one more thing, and I'm gonna bring up the quote from the Tarkin book that from the first few pages. I think it's real big. All right. Title page. Next page, next page, next page, next page. Lots of pages. All right, here we go. Almost there, almost there. Sentinel base. Okay, so if all right, this is big here. Gotta make sure I say it right. So Tarkin, my only regret was not employing a firmer hand in bringing the project to fruition in time to frustrate the actions of those determined to thwart the Emperor's noble designs. Fear of the station, fear of the Imperial might would have provided the necessary deterrent. So Tarkin is saying that he experienced because he was sent to Sentinel base because he had to I was safeguarding the creation of an armament that would one day shape and guarantee the future of the Empire. So this is in the Tarkin novel. He has like his diary. This reading is published in the years after he's dead, but this was his memoir. He was saying that he was frustrated that he couldn't stop those who were trying to stop the Emperor's noble design. So I think he's saying right there. I think he's saying that there was. But he was on the Death Star when it was destroyed. Right. So he's talking about something before this.
Right.
But
the stealing of the plans, most likely.
But if this planet that we see is the Death Star over it, that's the real question, I guess. Because that's where he's at. He's at Sentinel Base on Belderone, which is where they are. The Death Star is being built over.
Right. Well, my interpretation of Tarkin and Krennic, the difference, I think, I believe, and I could be wrong. Tarkin is a Moff, the Moff of which is a sector governor, the governor of the Outer Rim. So if this place is being built in the Outer Rim, that would fall into his territory. Whereas Director Krennic,
he was he was directly told by the Emperor to oversee the production of of the Death Star.
So maybe he's over Krennic.
Yeah, and it's interesting because it's an RM facility number 4. Is what is on Belderone, which is the largest Imperial Navy deep dock in operation during the Galactic Civil War. And that's not canon. That's legends, right? But in the canon novel, they say that exact same thing, that on Belderone is an RM facility for number 4. So they have a whole bunch of ships there, and they're building, and it's the biggest building shipyard they have. So that would make sense. And we know that the Death Star was over Geonosis, right?
Yes.
It was being built there, and then it got moved.
It was abandoned. The building station.
And they exterminated all the Geonosians.
Right.
Isn't that cool? And then I just don't know. I don't know if can we assume that it went to Belderone to finish construction, or was it in deep like?
It makes sense to me. I mean, that sounds like that could be where, if they're trying to keep everything, the story group's trying to keep everything tight and all one story, then that would make perfect sense that would be Belderone.
And we would be seeing Tarkin, which, there's many rumors. There's this great CGI face of Tarkin we're going to be seeing.
But if they made Tarkin the actual bad guy of this movie, I think that would be a big mistake. I think it's fine to have him in there for a small part.
Yeah, this isn't his ordeal. I think this is not his ordeal.
Coming in, I think that's why they're using him instead of Tarkin, because that making a whole movie with a CGI faced Tarkin could be a big mistake.
I think what we're gonna get is Tarkin's there too. He probably is on the Death Star, and he's like he'll be like well, Krennic, are you gonna handle it or something like that? And then Krennic goes on the ground. Is like that'll be like his one line is Tarkin
after a screw up. Now that's why he's out there, dragging his cape in the water.
Yeah, exactly. I think that makes so much sense. That actually here, like, we'll get just a little bit of Tarkin just for a second,
right?
And then maybe he'll die. Because if Jin is so good and amazing, and this crew, they're gonna end up dying. Yes, one by one. But do you think that the guy in the cape is gonna live? Because why does Vader have to come out?
Vader is, if you read the beginning of A New Hope, the crawl, it says, or actually he says himself, he traced the rebel spies to her, and in the crawl it says the plans were beamed aboard that ship. So it sounds to me like he basically, to cover the failings of everyone else that couldn't take down these people, he has to go retrieve the Death Star plans himself, and in doing so takes out everyone and traces the rebel spies to Leia with the ship. So I think the movie is going to end with him taking everyone else out as the Death Star plans are being beamed aboard the Tantive 4.
Yeah. And another thing, no, this is huge. This is the whole thing that I forgot to tie it all together. Belderone, Tatooine, Geonosis. Okay? Those 3 planets are right next to each other.
That would make perfect sense then.
Yeah, so I forgot to mention that. That's like the biggest. That should be like the first thing I said on this episode was that Belderone, where Tarkin was, and it was, it's better to be spaced than based on Belderone because there's nothing there.
Right.
And well, I don't know, because we see in that first original teaser, it's like a pine planet that has the Death Star being built over it, and we don't have a description of Belderone in canon at all, other than it's just there's nothing there, there's no one there. It's not very highly populated, so.
That doesn't necessarily mean there aren't trees, right? Or does it?
No, but also the same thing that we saw, the shield generator of the Death Star on
Endor.
On Endor, we see on that planet. So, what does that tell us? I think that means that, I think it was a similar structure we saw, and I think that's going to end up being where they're building it over that, and if that's there, then next to it would be Tatooine, and that's where because it's right there. Like, they just got away. Like, Leia comes, she takes them, and she just gets away, and then she gets caught. Maybe in hyperspace they catch her. Because what happens in Rebels? There's a ship.
Pulled out of the interdictor.
They're pulled out of hyperspace. Yeah, they can get pulled out of hyperspace.
It's the interdictor it has a gravity well generator.
Yeah, so if those, if there's routes, there's hyperspace routes, and if they're right next to each other, if they knew that there was a chance of someone, coming in or escaping, they would put that in, the
interdictor.
Sorry, the interdictor right by Tatooine, because it's right there, and it would catch them. Maybe, right?
It's possible, or she could have just got, like you said, they were in real space and not hyperspace as they're just escaping, and Vader Star Destroyer is following. I mean, it could be she could have been just right there. Is Belderone and Tatooine? They're not the same system, right? They're just in the same.
What it says in the Tarkin novel, here, I'll read it right now. Dang it, I always misspell Tatooine. Okay. For those in the know, when it seemed inexplicable that Wilhuff Tarkin would be assigned to a desolate moon in a nameless system in a remote region of the Outer Rim, the closest planets of any note were the desert world Tatooine and the equally inhospitable Geonosis.
So that doesn't quite say it's in the same system, but it does say it's close.
The closest planets of any note,
right,
were those two, and it's a moon. So, just like with Endor, it's the moon. It's not too big. So, would you have a desert, tropical moon?
It's possible. I mean, at least in Star Wars,
Yeah, that's true. I mean, anything's possible. But I don't know, man. If it's a moon that's that small, well, it'd be the same size as Earth. I don't know. Who knows? Who knows? Have we talked long enough? Do you think?
Sure.
Yeah, I was going for 20, 30 minutes, and we've gone for a good 40, 50. So
it's up to you.
Yeah, this has been great.
If you want to talk about the U-Wing real quick, did we talk about that? Oh
gosh, no, we didn't. It looks so weird. How is that gonna be able to fly well?
What it looks like to me, looks like they took the cockpit of a Y-Wing, put the engines of an X-Wing on the back of it, and then put the prongs of like a Jedi starfighter on the side. And it does look a little, I would think in atmosphere, it would be a little wonky trying to fly it, but.
Well, it crashes just like an X-Wing does.
That's true.
Which is why, I mean, it would make sense that the first, the beginning of New Hope, the first thing we see is that the rebels just had their first victory.
Right.
What victory would that be?
I think that's the stealing of the Death Star plans, honestly.
Well, I mean,
actually, no, it does say rebel ship striking from a hidden base. So there probably is a space conflict as well with because we do know from the pictures there are X-Wings, Y-Wings, and this U-Wing in here, along with TIE fighters and that new TIE Striker, which basically looks like if you took a wing of an interceptor and then put a cockpit in between.
Yeah, it looks funky. Yeah, that's great.
So it does sound like there will be a space battle.
Also on Belderone, there's AT-AT factories, and that's canon. Oh, that's not canon. In Legends, there's a Battle of Belderone, and there's a AT-AT factory on Belderone, which would make sense since we already have this big port. Right. So Belderone, there's nothing on there other than the Imperials in large part, and then it seems there's just little outposts, little villages, which is what it would seem like we're getting on, But why is Jyn there? Why is she on that planet? Because if she goes to Yavin 4, is she
gets arrested? It's what it's or I think the pilots get arrested and then they're rescued, and she was with the pilots at the time, and they brought her in, reading off her charges, and then tell her, look, if you do this for us, then we'll excuse your charges. So that's where I took it.
Do you think she started on that planet, or where would she have started?
That's hard to say. At this
point, go to Endor, go to Yavin 4 and then go back to this planet, or does she go there to the Yavin 4 to the Death Star?
At this point, I don't think there's enough information for me to say either way.
It feels that she's already on the mission when she's on that the tropical planet, which is why I think the Death Star is right above it. Is you can't just get on the Death Star.
Maybe she lived on the planet. Maybe she started, you know what I mean?
Yeah, she could have started there and then, gone to Yavin 4 and then came back. But either way, like, she's with, the only time that she's with all those dudes, with their whole ensemble that's trying to get on the Death Star, right? Is when she's there. So then she goes to the Death Star. So I think this, it really seems like the Death Star is being built over this moon.
Right.
This planet, whatever it is.
Yeah. I believe so.
And the attack, I think that, she's going to go to Yavin and there's going to be this big battle. That's going to be their first victory against.
You think the battle will be over Yavin?
No. The battle they go from Yavin.
Okay, I was gonna say because that would take away their hiding spot.
Well, she starts off on a secret mission, right? She's on this mission. She has this ensemble and is saving Private Ryan. Right. But we see she's on the mission, and we see crashed X-wings and U-wings, like freshly crashed. So does that mean that
I think that the pilot, there was originally a pilot for reconnaissance that was trying to find out what was going on, that crashes. At least one, maybe more. Because you see them parading down the little streets with their handcuffs on, the pilots, if you look in the trailer. Maybe she helps to save them. And in that helps them get away, and that's how she ends up on Yavin.
Yeah. Okay. But then she's running on that same planet with against across from AT-ATs.
I think that's later. I'm pretty sure that comes later because that's when she's with Cassian and all the rest.
Yeah, so I think they come. No, I don't know. But the battle, I think what happens is maybe there's a battle distraction. Like they had this, whatever. They go in and you can't just go on the Death Star. I think they had to steal it. Maybe like there's a battle that was a distraction, so they could steal an Imperial shuttle to get onto the Death Star.
Well, that's probably how. But I think when we see her in the at the end in that Imperial outfit, also there was a rumor that Cassian is in it, also a Death Star gunner outfit or something like that. So I think the two of them are dressed as Imperials and sneak on the Death Star. I think that's how they get on.
All right. Well, this has been fun. Let's wrap this up.
All right.
Good times.
Yes,
Ed, you are so informative. Yes. And I'm sure Mart, who runs the Gamatube network, is going to be very appreciative, and we appreciate him for letting us use this. It's great to talk about Star Wars.
Absolutely.
All right. Bye, everybody.
All right. Have a good night.
Predictable because he was very tantrum-esque, and it's like you really didn't know what this guy was going to do.
I mean, he just tells him some bad news, and he just destroys a console right in front of him, and then he goes, and he's just trying to tell him the truth. He's like, and there was a girl, and he just, what girl?